So, because I think we've written about lightning strikes, as you well know, ground wars, air wars, info wars, and all that. But like
Yep.
most people are still stuck with like, how do I do this? What do I do, and how much does it cost? And so, it's all the nitty gritty. And so, like I think as I think about it, I have the stuff that we've written to you about like the different ways in which we do the lightning strikes. But then, so like what's the objective? Sometimes I think of like the original one you did with the MMA, which who's the fighter you put the name on the butt?
Tyron Woodley.
Tyron Woodley. That one I remember you and Jeff kind of doing this about it, and I put that in the revenue or die, like not quite a bet the farm moment, but
Yep.
felt like that, right?
Yep.
And then the second one I think of is the Challenger coming out party, which is one I think you have coming up with National TP Day. So I'd love to hear you talk about that.
Sure.
And then the third one that we think about is kind of the coronation and celebration. Like we did it, we're there, and kind of, act like you've been there before, type of a thing. But so those are the three types of outcomes. We're also writing about the 5 different ways in which you execute it. You could do a stunt, which you guys are amazing at.
Yep.
I think of the Cleveland Browns helmet one,
Yep.
which was not planned, but the fight, which you're kind of coming up with now, a scarcity one. You can't have this. A functional one, like a sales event, you're going to have anyway, but you turn it into a strike. And then the culture creating stuff that I think you're doing with the mini pooper and all that, like stuff that it's harkens back to the Anheuser days that my buddies there, like you met Keith and the like, right?
Yep.
So like all these things, and then budgets at different, or strikes at different budgets we want to talk about. And then finally, I'd love to get under the hood of when we've seen companies that are great at lightning strikes, and it's clear that Dude Wipes is, and you, Ryan, are the king of this, and you're going to become that. Like people will write books not about just Dude Wipes, but about how you guys are doing this.
Yep.
I want to understand the hard work that you guys are doing behind the scenes, to not just like at some level, if you and the other dudes got hit by a bus, that would be really bad, of course. But my sense is that you're building a team and a culture and a competence that'll live on beyond you guys. And
Yep.
I would just love to know what the nitty gritty of team building process. Are you reactive or proactive when it comes to these? Probably both. And then you have this sixth sense, Ryan, of like what things cost, what they should, or what they can come down to be.
Yep.
Maybe you're a master poker player in your background somewhere that I don't know about, but like,
I wish.
yeah, my sense is that you've got some secret skills that I think would be great to open up to the world and share with that. So that's kind of the flow that I want to go through, if that works
Awesome.
for you.
Yep. Sounds great.
Great. So the thing that I wanted to talk about at first was the 3 different flavors of lightning strikes that you've done, right? So we talked about the Tyler Woodley one being the revenue or die one, like, and I think you and Jeff have talked about that one of like, oh my God, that was a scary moment. You and Sean were pushing for it and stuff. But and certainly, if you can remind me, what was the cost of that you spent? Was
the
that
first one with Tyron Woodley, UFC pay-per-view, June of 2014? It was 10 grand. So back at that time, the fighters could negotiate their own deals.
perfect?
That was before uniform sponsorships with Reebok and
Yeah.
Monster and all that stuff that UFC has done since. So we were able to take advantage back then of the shoestring budget, and really had no business probably spending that. But it was really a test for us too, to like, let's just throw the brand out there in front of a couple million people and
Yeah.
see what happens. And
Well, what's fascinating about that, Ryan, is I mentioned, Keith that you met beforehand, like in 2008 and 9, I want to say. So not 6 years before 2014. He was telling me, hey, this UFC thing, do you think we should do it? Bud Light would bring a lot of legitimacy to it, but it's a little bloody and violent. And
yep.
so at that point, he made the call like too early.
Yep.
But like and clearly 10 grand for a trunk placement is not what the going price is today. So like,
For sure.
what was the feeling of UFC at the time in 2014? Like certainly more popular, but not where it is now. Max Holloway, the Korean Zombie, and all that kind of stuff. Like, what was the state of the UFC 11 years ago, and how did you make that call of like, it's not just up and coming, but it's going to be a real thing, and I'm going to bet on the future with that.
Yeah, I think a lot of the confidence came from ourselves and our group of friends were the demographic, and we were really into it. And it was like we were just starting to get into it. We were seeing it's taken off, and almost like big time Tyson boxing matches back in the day, like a big UFC card on pay per view, because back then they were more few and far between. Was like, whoa, like everybody's tuning in to watch this, whether we're getting together at somebody's house and we're going to order it together, or we're going to go to a bar and watch it. So we knew eyeballs would be on it. It was a fantastic matchup of obviously putting the logo on someone's butt. So branding relevance for sure, and to just throw it out there to the world as we were still very new as a brand on the scene. It was literally our coming out party to see what was going to happen and what the reaction would be of fans. And it went nuts on social. We were number 3 trend worldwide on Twitter. And that was when we're like, all right, we knew we had something, but this was like, proof of concept to the world. Like the world is affirming for us that we got something here. This
100%.
doesn't buzz when eyeballs get on this logo, and like we're off to the races from there.
Well, now compare and contrast kind of Ryan Meegan CMO in 2014 to Ryan Meegan CMO 2025. Like the 10 grand back then, what else did you spend around to promote it? What else were you doing to activate before and after? And then now, if you were to kind of teleport what your brain today back into you back then, like what would you have done differently, out of curiosity?
To be honest, back then, like we were so handcuffed with budgets and resources. I mean, it was literally just the 3 of us, and we were doing like a couple $100,000 in revenue at the time. So I think the best thing that came out of that, like we didn't do any pre-activation. We did a little social. Our socials were so small though. Like Tyron had obviously a lot bigger social than us, so we were riding his coattails. I think it was really the first dry run, which became the blueprint of how we do lightning strikes since and now, for getting involved in community engagement. So we're on our phones on Twitter the entire time, commenting on stuff, with our cheeky stuff. It also obviously gave us the confidence, like I said, a few minutes ago, that put the logo out there for eyeballs, good things happen. And now, fast forward, we obviously set up a lot more pre-lightning strike if we can to be successful. That may be consumer facing or fan facing or not, depending on if we want to make it a huge surprise or not. But also in the moment, understanding the same thing, that like, let's get into commenting and community engagement while it's happening in real time. Also, now we tee up what in our hopes would be earned media. So we have our PR team doing outreach beforehand. We may put them on embargo, we may not. And then certainly afterwards, we're taking the best pieces of that and putting that, wrapping that up into a nice little media blitz of our own to do on our own channels.
So this is awesome, because like I'm trying to unpack all of this. Is first things first. How did you know that UFC was a good idea when it wasn't as commonplace as it is now? It's you and Jeff and Sean are all supers. You all like the same things. So you're kind of leaning forward with the founder problem fit that we talk about. So when I saw where we're writing about this is that in a couple weeks is that HBR did a study of how CEOs spend their time. 27 large company CEOs, 13 billion in revenue. The percent of time they spend with their customers is 3% of the week. 3%. And I kind of put out there, like, you can't compete a professional polished CEO spending 3% of their times a week with a customer does not compare with founders who are 100% the super and 100% obsessed with the same problem. So that's kind of the first things first there, right? And then the second thing is you guys are on your phones activating it real time. So today, if you were running that playbook on the next UFC, maybe you got a great deal for 10 grand or whatever, but then like, I presume you have you said your external partners, your PR team, and et cetera, but tell me about, like, not everybody in the company is in the marketing team, but does everybody know what's going on? Like, how early do you let them know the cat's out of the bag? And is there kind of an unspoken or direct expectation that every employee is going to be participating on social? Like, what's the, how do you mobilize the team as you are now? Because it's not just 3, you got 10x the number of people, or close to that, right? So
yeah, the entire marketing team for the most part is aware of what's going on. There's things where, um, you know, 2 years ago, something popped up with the UFC and WWE for a package deal for WrestleMania on 1 week in April, and then the week after, a big UFC card that we jumped on. And that deal happened so fast that we didn't really have time to let a lot of people know. Like the the people on running social, which is basically Greg Barrett from our team, Andy our VP of creative, a small circle of people knew, and it's more so just like we're so like head underwater, just trying to get the deal done and get it to the asset value that's a part of the deal to our
yeah,
liking, and then turning around quick artwork. There was LEDs a part of it, so we're talking internally amongst a handful of us or less to get the messaging right. That's going to be on these LEDs on the ring in WrestleMania, and
yeah.
how does that work? And really just trying to get the deal done. So there's some times where it happens so quickly and it's a last minute fire sale that we jump all over it, and there's no time to really let anyone else know. There may be a breather where I get enlightened that, like, oh, like no one really knows about this. So just for anyone's own pure entertainment that's outside of the marketing department, we'll put a little Slack message out there like,
Yeah.
hey, by the way, we're a title sponsor of this match tonight with WrestleMania, or UFC. We have the Matt logo, and then this is going on. Have a look, and then only our small intimate group that has access to our social, which really is Greg, who's we've talked about him before, is just a machine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like his phone is just like attached to his hand. And he's in there in real time. So
he's like Woj bombing all the different things that are out there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that just kind of fuels the fire,
Yeah.
and keeps things going with, the conversation on social, and amplifies what we're doing.
All right, Ryan. I want to. There's. You said so many awesome. I want to unpack all of that stuff, right? So, number one, it sounds like some portion of your deals are reactive and some portion are proactive.
Yep.
So the UFC WWE one, 2 years ago, that was a reactive. It came across your transom. So
Yep.
number one, like what % of your strikes are kind of reactive versus proactive? Out of curiosity, just
I would say 75-25 reactive.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Now walk me through that.
Inbound and they're last minute, and we just, you talk about how do you know, and it's just like I don't know. We have this intuition that right place, right time. It's funny. I was thinking about this on my walk this morning, preparing for talking with you today, and I've never seen like the Fantastic Four or like Avengers until like the last like few months with my sons. They're big fans, and then
Yeah.
I've never watched that in my life. But it made me think that, they're just normal people walking around, right? And then something clicks and they need to enact their superpower.
Yeah.
There's something about the right opportunity, right place, right time. And I know that for whatever reason, this brand has a superpower.
Yeah.
And it's like, if we are put into that situation, if we put the brand into that situation, it's going to go. And for whatever reason, and I don't know how to explain this well, but a lot of people only see like from point A to point B. Like I can see from point A to like point G. I know this chain of events that's going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
or that I'm betting on is going to happen. that's going to be okay. Social starts to pick it up. Twitter's churning. Okay, that's got it. Okay,
Yeah.
some bigger accounts on Twitter are sharing it. Okay, now TV's starting to share it. It's coming up on podcasts. Like it's this whole chain of
Yeah.
events that's
You
going to
know the
happen.
ripple
And
effects.
so
Yeah.
there's different
100%.
level of success of the lightning strikes. Like we may only get to like level C, which is maybe like some really good chatter on, uh, you know, on social with shareability, people commenting on it, big accounts with big followings talking about it. But when it gets to like, TV's picking it up and then it's a story for 24, 48 hours where, the ESPN's on their talk shows, if it's a sports thing or podcasts are talking about it,
Yeah.
like the tight end U thing that went nuts a couple months
Amazing.
ago, like even like a week later, the Kelsey brothers on New Heights, dropped the Dude Wipes line.
That's when I heard it. That's when
Yeah,
I heard it. Yeah.
exactly. So there's levels to the lightning strikes.
All right. All right.
And so
Ryan, I'm going to unpack your genius here, and not everyone has the intuition, so we gotta name it out here. So, A to B, I understand. So A might be the strike itself, right?
Yep.
And then B is the reaction to the strike.
Yep.
Let's see if we can name C, D, E, F, G. Like what? So you do the strike. There's the immediate reaction to the strike. You guys are juicing it up and this and that. What does C look like for you?
Yeah, C. I think C would be. That's when, bigger accounts start to pick things up
on social in particular.
That's unexpected. That's we're hoping obviously, but like people are jumping on the pile that like, we're placing that bet hoping that happens, but you never know.
Yep.
And
okay.
That's when those people start to jump on the pile in real time, and then it keeps rolling.
So the bigger unexpected accounts jump on it. Some of them are clearly not in your category, but the reason why they jump on it is because it's hilarious, it's noteworthy, and like I'm curious, like in the type of strikes that you guys do, would you call them more stunts or fights or culture creating or scarcity is like, oh, I got to get this deal. I don't think you guys do as much of that, but like it's more stunt like. Is that right? Like check the stunt out.
It's definitely stunt. And with that, I think we have a good sense of identifying cultural moments that we want to be a part of.
Okay. So Ryan, this is like the most aspirational part of every CMO that I've talked to. They want to do this, right? The Anheuser guys were legends at this with the frogs and the What's Up guys and, I love you, man, and all that kind of stuff. So this is like graduate level stuff. It's not easy to do. It's everyone's aspiration. Can you break this down? Like, so let's say let's call G, because I'm a math guy, right? G is that you've created culture.
Yeah.
Right. Buddies are saying, did you check out the tight end U? And that's when you've cemented it, right? So that's kind of the goal. Yep. So if I go back to C, because I've never heard anyone unpack this formula. So C, unexpected other brands that are larger, comment on it. D, is that the TV part or is that something else? Or what is that? Mainstream media?
Yeah, I would say mainstream media picks it up. A really good example of that one would be, and I think maybe C and D kind of cross over, right? There's C is people in that industry, say it's a sports move, like the Browns thing, like, okay, Adam Schefter and, big football analysts are tweeting about it and picking it up. And then it crosses over into D where like back when we did the Isaiah Crowell one, after he did the touchdown dance back in like 2017 or 18, forget what year it was, but when he wiped his butt with the football, that was, back to your point, that was reactive. We jumped all over it, DM'd him. Can we send you product and give you a little, pay you something to post spot Dude Wipes? And that spilled over into like Howard Stern talking about it and like, general, cultural, folks in pop culture are talking about it in, just everyday news sort of thing.
So actually, would you separate out, because maybe we need more letters, I don't know, but like is D mainstream media or is D like celebrities of note? So you got bigger accounts is C, right?
Yep.
But they're not like, they're companies.
Yep.
Is it the Howard Sterns or the celebrities is D or the mainstream media? Like what's the order you think? Is it like?
Yeah,
Could be fungible.
and honestly, I don't have this like charted out
I'm
somewhere.
trying to tease it out of you.
Yeah, you're actually like doing this in real time for me. It's
Yeah.
just I kind of made up some letters, to be honest, like how
No,
I
no,
would
no.
do
This,
it,
this
but
is
like
perfect. That.
it does stretch that far. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would say mainstream media, talking heads, you know, media outside of the world of where the lightning strike happened.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'm going to frame. I have an idea for F. If G is culture creating, so let's say D and E are some combination of celebrity and mass media, whatever. I want to say F is the FU moment when the backlash occurs, which was great, right? Christopher loves the backlash, right? And if you
yeah,
look at his personal website, all he has are reviews of people saying, this guy is crappy and I hate this guy and whatever else it is, right? So, like, have you ever gotten backlash like that, whether from a big account, mainstream media, or whatever, that they don't realize it's further fanning the flames to get to the cultural moment? Like, have you had that occur?
we do, and funny enough, it's happening in real time while all of it's going nuts. So you have the people that love it and are talking about it, or maybe even just posting it, just like, oh, this was interesting, whatever. You have the people that are engaging with it, that love it, that are complimenting it, and this is genius, this is great. And then all along in parallel, you have the naysayers are like, this is so dumb. Why is Dude Wipes, doing X, Y, Z, or it's just some wet wipe with dude on it. Like, this is like, why are people giving this attention?
No.
So that's happening kind of throughout the process. So
Yeah.
there's always backlash going on for us.
It seems like do you guys intentionally lean into it out of curiosity? Like, I'm trying to think if you guys do that on social, or you'll highlight somebody's or you just kind of take it as it comes. And
Yeah, we learned a long time ago to not give that sort of any attention,
yeah, okay,
because if you give them attention and then you get in this war of tweets back and forth, it
yeah,
just really gets nowhere, and it kind of ends up looking bad for us
yeah,
that we
okay,
care. So to your point earlier, we let them, they're fanning the flames, and we let them do that. So
okay.
and
Well,
if you're not getting hate or criticism on something that you're doing, it's probably not big enough, or you're not doing it right. So it just is further affirmation for us that it's a big hit. And then funny enough too, a big internal test that we all have and have joked about is that our close knit friends and family groups are so used to our stunts and what we do, that they just in the early days, of course, they would text us, call us, compliment us, whatever. That ended a long time ago, where they're just like, this is just what these guys do, like. But really, really good ones, we'll get texts from people, saying, oh, I saw this, or or even maybe a couple people, outside of your core group that you haven't talked to in like 8 or 10 years, from college or somebody. Those people start to come out of the woodwork and text when those real big things go super viral. So that's a good sneaky little barometer for us as well, which you wouldn't think, but we've come to learn that that's when something did really well.
so I just wrote this while I'm listening to you talk about it with your friend's reaction. We'll see if this sticks or not, Ryan. And I will coin it Ryan Meegan TM. The A through G's. You got to activate the strike. You get the beginning reaction.
Yep.
You get the celebrity reaction. Gets discussed on mainstream media. Then you go to earned media. Everybody's talking about the mainstream media bit.
Yep.
You have the fight back and backlash, and then that's when you've created a great cultural moment. That's your A through G trademark Ryan Meegan TV. How about that? So
that's it.
yeah, because it's really interesting to hear you talk about, like, you have your finger on the pulse of it, and then clearly you've taught that to the team. And you know when you have the amount of reps that you have, like, it does become second nature. But
Yep.
it's one of those things where people try to go for the cultural moment in one shot. It's like the people trying to do a funny Super Bowl ad, and people are like, where'd that come from, and
Yeah.
who was the brand? I don't remember that. Like, you have to be patient, and you have to nurture it, and timing is everything with these things. And so
Totally.
I think what you laid out is great, because, like, eventually a stunt becomes a fight, and a fight becomes a culture creating moment. And if you do
Yep.
those things well, then you spent a little bit of money that feels like you're adding a zero to the the presumed budget as you go along, because when you've created culture, that's $1 billion moment from what started out as a $10,000 ad with that.
Exactly. And so that the taste of that back in 2014 was like, let's do that again.
Yeah.
How do we do that again? You know, and we did it like a year later with another fight with Matt Brown, who was a popular fighter at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Not as big as Woodley, but the same thing sort of happened. And then the next big one was, you know, and there's nothing wrong with singles and doubles too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like those like quick hitter punch, you know, punches, like over time those build up and become valuable. Like you know, we did newsjacking of, you know, athletes, you know, admitting to pooping their pants, like during, you know, combat or during, you know, during a game and whatnot.
Yeah.
We would jump on those. We get a few articles, you know, small bite. We'd probably only get the A and B, but those add up, and you know, we paid peanuts for them. So
yeah.
I think another thing with this whole process is I've seen. I think you posted about it. Sean's been talking about it. We've been talking about it. Simplicity is velocity. Well, the simplicity is velocity in our group is that everybody's on the same page. Now everybody recognizes a potential lightning strike moment, and we don't have to talk about it. People just go, you know. Greg's flying on Twitter. Andy's, you know, Andy and PR are doing their thing. You know, our team is just in sync, and they know because they fully understand the brand and the power with it. That you know.
So you just said the magic words is the ability to be like. So when I think about, I'm trying to think through the old tech company Cisco back 20 years ago.
Yeah,
they were so good at M&A and a lot of tuck-in small deals and this and that. And at some level, there are companies that are bad at mergers and acquisitions. Like my old Anheuser friends, when they were like, the reason why they launched Bud Light Lime was they were thinking about an acquisition in the spirits camp. And I was like, you guys have never done acquisitions. You're going to be terrible at it. Please don't do that. Why don't you compete with spirits through a beer business model? And that's what Bud Light Lime and Lime-A-Rita was. But so there are companies that are great at M&A, and usually they know precisely, given that 2/3 of all M&A deals fail to return the cost of capital. They know what kind of companies they're looking for. They're not, yes, they want to buy the company, but they really understand what they bring to the company and how they can make it more valuable.
Right.
They have a team of, you know, deal guys, lawyers, bankers, consultants, all that kind of, they have a team in a playbook. And so they know what they're looking for because they know who they are. And at some level, my sense of it is that you and Andy and the team, you kind of run like a reactive lightning strike M&A group. Like when it's on, it's on. You guys are kind of 24/7, and it's not a lot of sleep and whatever, and a lot of stress, and not every deal works out as you're describing. Yep. But it's when you guys talk about the dudeness is the magic, right? Like it's because you have such clarity around the brand.
Yep.
The problem you're solving is everybody poops. Sometimes it's funny. It's always messy. And TP makes the problem worse, and therefore Dude Wipes is here to the rescue. Like, and I just think that most brands have such a poor understanding of what problem they solve. And so is that right? Because when you say like everybody knows what the moment looks like, what is a lightning strike opportunity, if you had to articulate it, obviously a butt or poop involved in some way, shape, or form. Humor seems to be part of it. And I'm trying to think of what the other part of the ingredient list is, but like I can feel it in you, and I don't know how to articulate it. Like, what is a dude moment? Or actually, give me an example of what seemed like a lightning strike moment and turned out not to be. Do you have one of those by chance?
God, we probably have a bunch of them. Let me see if I can think of one off the top of my head.
I'd say the third one is like, if I think about the Venn diagram, poop, funny, and like at some level, you got to, I believe it's, if like the committee is like, if you, Sean and Jeff think it's hilarious, it's probably going to be funny for everyone. Like, is that
right?
About right? Like, because there must be stuff that one of you thinks is funny and like the other two are like, eh. not quite enough or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's I don't know. It's one of these things where it just like it comes up and it's just like you know, like you got to be a part of this. Like
Yeah.
a good example would be Woodley again for the Jake Paul fights. You know, we're like, this is a cultural moment, a cultural phenomenon. You know, this is a unique moment where, you know, a YouTuber turned boxer is facing a, you know, former world champ UFC guy in a boxing match. It's pay per view. People are just going to turn in for the intrigue, and we
So
got to be part
this
of
is
that
like
moment.
21, 20, something like that.
Yes, it was right. Yep, right around
It's
there.
about 7 years later. Now, remind me again: is Tyrone, is he like a Dude Wipes fan since 2014, or are you guys working with him off and on, or not really? Or
No, him and I have become good boys. So
oh,
like,
awesome,
stayed in touch. Like
yeah,
it obviously in completely different sectors. We were, you know, Dude Wipes trajectory and where we were at as a brand in 2014. He was kind of just like on his come up, you
yeah.
know, trying to get in that circle of getting a title shot. And, you know, then 2015, 2016, you know, he's still grinding, we're grinding. We get a shot, you know, with Kroger and Shark Tank. Um, and then he goes
So
on
you
this
guys are
run.
following each other's.
Yeah, exactly. Then he
That's
goes on this
amazing.
run to be UFC champ. You know, then we're starting to get massive distribution. Unfortunately, at that time, that's when he was champ throughout. That's when the uniform UFC deals were going on, so we couldn't really do much. And you know, maybe we did some social stunts here and there with that with him, but nothing crazy. And then this comes about kind of full circle where he's at his peak. You know, we're just starting to, you know, get over the hump in our own right, and pretty ironic, you know, the funds we were able to pay for that um, versus what we paid the first time um, kind of came full circle, and then
Can
you
you
know,
share a little behind the scenes on budgets and this and that, or I mean, you don't have to if you don't. It's not cool, but like,
no,
um,
I was going to bring this up today, anyways. In general, every one of our lightning strikes that we've done have been five figures or low six figures. There's never been
Ryan, that's gonna
one.
blow people's minds.
Yeah, there's never been
Nobody,
one.
no one's gonna believe that.
I know, and I think that's one of the biggest kept secrets about what we've done is you wouldn't believe what we pay for it, and then what we get out of it.
Okay, sorry. So I
And
want to.
I did think of one that fell flat,
Okay,
and
great.
this was maybe this is why it's the only seven figure one that we've done, and it was no disrespect to him because him and his team are great. It just didn't go as well as we thought with Mr. Beast. We did a Mr. Beast.
I saw the plane. Not
That
that
was
one.
actually, um, to their credit, because the first one didn't go as well as we thought. They did that as a make good,
Oh,
and
interesting.
we didn't pay any incremental dollars. So
What was the
um,
first one? I don't remember. I
the
think I
first
saw
one
one.
was a Survivor, kind of like the
Oh,
Survivor
yeah, 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 yeah.
show. It was like that, but it was two people out in the wild, you know, fending for as many days as they could last. They had some challenges, and then they would win, you know, some um, like hygiene essentials or food or stuff like that. So we were a reward for winning a challenge because they were out in uh, the forest, like living with no shower, nothing like that. So it was a great plug, everything
Yeah.
like that. But and you know, it got eyeballs. But what we didn't realize, and you know, hand up here, is that how international his following is.
Oh,
So
interesting.
it was a lot smaller piece of the pie watching in the U.S. than we had anticipated.
That,
So
you know
that
what?
was one where
That's such a huge, like, smack your head, like, duh, like, how can you have 400 million subscribers? Well, they're mostly outside the US. Like,
it
I
was
never
like
thought of that.
14 million views from the U.S. And
Wow.
we're like, how do we not look into that? That's so obvious to ask, but he's such a, you know, massive figure here. We're
Yeah.
like, you know, I got, you know, my boys are 10 and 8. So that's all they do is, watch Mr.
Watch
Beast,
Mr.
everybody in the
Beast.
neighborhood. So I'm in tune with that sort
Yeah,
of like age group that watches him, and I just thought it was massive US following, and it is.
yeah,
But
yeah,
so that was one that we struck out on, that we
yeah.
thought was going to be bigger than it was.
Well, it's that's so interesting because you guys are both heavyweights in your lanes, and it is kind of the shouldn't it work? And so there's
Yep.
clearly the audience analytics, got to do the category science behind that. That's kind of
Yep.
one. But I'm also thinking like it's part of the magic that you guys have is having the brand be a cameo versus a co-star probably matters too, right? Because like
Yep.
it was a prize. I didn't see that episode, but I can imagine it. But you're not featured throughout the whole thing,
Right.
right? The
Yep.
episode. So that's kind of one. Like there's a bunch of in an ADD world, there's a lot of stuff going on, and the brand pops in and out, and then it's not whatever with it. But it is also kind of law of large numbers. Like it's just easier to get a 5 or low 6-figure deal to go through the steps.
Yep.
Like no one's going to talk about like they're going to say, they probably paid a lot of money to be on Mr. Beast or whatever, this and that. It's
Right.
not newsworthy,
Yep.
and it's not going to create the amount of buzz that I didn't see that coming. It's a co-star, and you're like a really meaningful part of the narrative, and that it's almost like you don't tell the other people about the movie that everybody's seeing. You tell people about the
Yeah.
movie nobody's seen. So
Right.
the discovery part is a key
Yep.
part of getting from A to G, it seems like.
Totally. Yeah. A lot of these are, because we get, the deals dollars wise that you were super surprised to hear is because a lot of these pop up when the other property is under the gun. It's within a few weeks and they don't
Yeah.
have anything sold, and they know that for whatever reason they come to us and keep it coming.
Okay. Wait. For whatever reason, do you have so you must have a reputation for being reactive. You guys work quick and you make a decision and
Yep.
you're a great partner. That's all true.
Yep.
How did they figure that out? And I don't know if, and this might be me being a noob at this, but like, are there brokers that are trying to figure out how to get the inventory sold, or is it you talking directly to the property all the time and you just have a reputation? But at what point did they start calling you? Like, why did they start knowing, hey, I'm going to call Ryan and the dudes because they'll get it done and they can save my butt here?
Yeah. I think maybe just,
Word of mouth.
I think maybe a relationship aspect too that we
Mm,
built up. So like with some of the properties, it's you know uh, maybe we talk 4 or 5 times and something doesn't work out, but it's like, hey, keep us in mind, and you know they have a trust in us, a comfortability with us, and we build up a good relationship that they're going to give us a call, and then
yeah,
boom, we act on something, and it goes really well. That's when they're coming back a next time or two, and
that
I,
makes
I think
total sense.
I think some of it is relationships that we
Yeah,
forged,
yeah.
and then others is, to your point, people seeing us in the wild doing stuff and saying, "Oh, like uh, my butt's on the line here. We need somebody else to plug in.
Well,
Let's
what's
call you guys."
interesting is not only are they they're stressed out, like crap, if that inventory goes, it's never coming back, right? So that
Yep.
there's kind of the fear of that. Obviously the relationship that you've invested in. But the third one is I bet you the deals when you come in and save the day, they go back out and resell that future inventory and like check out what we did for Dude Wipes. And they're taking
100%.
all your credit, which is fine. They're like, look, we gave them the spot and look at what they did. They created a cultural moment. And, they're kind of conveniently leaving. I mean, I'm not accusing anyone or anything, but they're going to leave out the part of all the hard work that you guys have done to build the brand and execute against it. But it's
Yeah.
going to make them seem like my inventory led to this cultural moment. Therefore, you should buy my inventory at a extremely high price. So there's clearly a
Totally.
win-win on that part.
Exactly. I said after Tight End U, I had a thought that dawned on me is like we're becoming a part of the fan and the consumer experience.
Yes.
Like we're just not a brand that's there as a logo slap or this or that. Like at Tight End U, we had Deuce, our mascot, which has been an amazing lever that we can pull now. That is just making people have a blast on site.
Drive that Cherevanus with Deuce. Good job, Deuce.
Yes, Deuce is crushing. Having so like I'm joking with Barry, who's the performer and who helped create the costume with us. I'm like, dude, I didn't anticipate like literally wanting to need you every weekend after this came about, because it's awesome. I've been at a few events with him. I was at the Premier Lacrosse League event with my family a few weeks ago in Chicago, and what was really cool to see is that kids from like 10 to 14 were like blabbing, oh, dude wipes, look, dude wipes guy, and he's just hanging out with them. And so like that age group knowing us, and then him
That's
being
incredible.
able to activate there is just taking kind of our experiential game to another level, which is super
That's
exciting.
awesome. By the way, a random zebra hole here is I think I texted you guys about this, but there's a brand in Dubai called Mr. Kind. It's like a Barney, but for kids program and all that kind of stuff. And they've done great stuff, and it's all about helping kids becoming kind and confident at the same time in various situations. And they've really done magic in niching down around, like, they have songs for toddlers around brushing your teeth, being kind to your teeth, type of a thing, all that kind of good stuff, right? So I told them about Deuce and you guys, and they're like, we'll absolutely write a butt wiping song, a potty training song. They have one queued up, so when you're ready, they're totally happy to share it, because it'll be a fun thing. But if I go back to the legend of Ryan and team will save the day, you know what's so fascinating, Ryan, is that when I think about serendipity, you can engineer it by being reliable and fast and responsive. In that, when I think about other categories that work very similarly, so we talked about media deals that you get on the a great bargain because you're reactive, fast, dependable. M&A deals work that way. TV works that way. Like when producers will call my booking agent or me or whatever, like, because they're under the same gun. Oh, we got dead air time. Got to fill it.
Yeah.
Who's a rando talking head that'll not embarrass us? Oh, let's call Eddie to do whatever and stuff, right? So you can do that. And then, what's also funny is the 2 times that HBR has moved my stuff from the digital platform to the magazine, which is like extremely hard to do, has been when other articles that were planned have fallen through. And like, Eddie will come through for us on this one. And it's funny because I think about when I go to their offices, it's like on the walls, they have 9 months of the magazine all laid out, articles, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And it's inevitable. Like at the 11th hour, something falls through and you can't go out with empty inventory. You got to do something, call the reliable person or the brand that can come through. And that to me explains why you can negotiate a great deal and they don't feel bad about it, because they know you're going to come through and that you're not playing games with them and all that kind of stuff. It's just like, I'm here to help, but for me to make this work, these are the, they know that you're a savvy buyer with it. So like, I'm kind of curious when you are looking at, I think the deal is worth this. Is that based on what you've spent in the past, or do you have some sort of ROI calculator? Like, I know this deal, if we get it to maybe not the G, but to the E or F, it'll be the equivalent of if I added a 0 to it, or it'll just add revenue. Or because like my Anheuser friends, going back to them, like back in the day, this dude, Tony Ponturo, he was their head of media buying. Like, and he was like, people were like, he's like the most powerful dude in the company. You're like, what do you mean? It's like, well, he negotiates with the NFL to buy 10 spots like years in advance, and he books them at this year's pricing for 7 years out or whatever. So like, he was the man. Like everybody knew go to Tony to get my money locked in and whatever and stuff. But like, they were so efficient, sneakily efficient at that. And the way that they would talk about it, I think I mentioned, like, if they had 10 spots on the Super Bowl, they would shoot 30, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But they knew that if they shot 30 bang back to back, their cost per spot would be dramatically lower, number one. Exactly. And number two, they were like, of the 10 that I shoot, one's for the brand, Clydesdales, a couple for the consumer, But the vast majority, it's to motivate the wholesalers that are independent and, 50-year-old dudes like me now. Like I'm the distributor for Naperville or whatever. And
Yeah,
why should I move your that ad made me laugh and I'm excited about
exactly.
it. I'm
Yep.
going to stack them high and watch them fly. Like when you are like, get me into your mind, like, okay, a deal comes through last minute, you're going to get a good deal. Sometimes, you must have a sixth sense. I could cut that a little more. It's a little too much. I don't want to break the relationship. But I know the range looks like this. And when, like, do you have a blank check with Jeff? Like, in this range, you're good to go? Or are you guys talking about it? Like, help me understand, like, how do you know it's a good deal or not?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is a little bit of both. It's experience from stuff we've done in the past. It's also we kind of gauge it on, okay, if we were to do a long term relationship with someone, and those deals that we've done in the past, those cost X. And a lot of times it's really just their back is against the wall. They have 3 weeks to sell this property, and they already came like at this price. Like we, you know, knock them down a couple notches as well. If we can.
Yeah.
And I think too, we do gauge the how valuable and how nuts we think it's going to go. Um, so like there are typically floors that we'll set for ourselves internally. Like if it's here, it's not worth it. We won't. We're not going to do it. Not going to walk away. Or there's not that piece that we can dutify it with. Where a good example is the Four Nations with the NHL. That back in February, I think it was, that massively successful tournament, 4-team tournament, um, and the U.S. and Canada played twice. So we
Mm.
were talking to them about their Dasher boards for a few weeks, and the price was in the ballpark of us to be interested, but the sticking point was we needed to have our copy that we were comfortable with, that we knew would get us to C and D to be part of that deal. If they were just only going to give us a logo slap, we were going to walk away. So this went literally all the way up to the commissioner of the NHL to get the copy approved, and the line was, and this goes to speaking to where we know we can speak to an audience in their lingo. In this case, hockey fans.
This is the Crease one, right?
This is the Crease. So protect your crease with dude wipes and massive logos on bookending the copy that is jumping off the screen, and it went nuts. So I think it's a little bit of us understanding cultural moments, what the audience size is probably going to be, and then are we able to get our dudeness in there with the copy
Yeah.
and fun, and those are the things that we look for. And I think that unlocks what we feel confident in is that, like, I was talking about the Fantastic Four earlier. Like, our superpower is like it's gonna make it go.
That's incredible.
So
I love that viewpoint of how can you dudify it, and the degrees of dudification probably drives your willingness to spend on it, as you said. And
yeah,
and I think the non-negotiables of logo slap, people know dude wipes already. Like,
yeah,
how do we dudify it in a way where this is where languaging matters so much. Like, you are so, yeah, you'll pay for it, but you'll die on the hill for, if I can't say something that's clearly dudified,
yep,
why am I here? Type
totally.
of a thing. So that makes a ton of sense.
And positioning ourselves with on brand. Is there bathroom? Is there an easy, like, no brainer, obvious thing that we can do to spin this in this setting where the consumer can easily put two and two together with the language, and we can use some sort of bathroom humor, poop
Yeah.
humor, or whatever to own that. And we have a couple of those, fingers crossed, coming up.
Well, okay. So how about this? Let's end with I'm trying to think. your Mount Rushmore of lightning strikes in the past. Like what is Ryan's like? This is my Hall of Fame reel. And then tell me, why? What was the dutification that you did? If you have a little behind the scenes of like, the deal that you got or the budget or how you made it work, that kind of thing. And then we'll end with a no guarantees it'll happen, but things to look for on the horizon. Like let's do that. So
Sounds good. Yeah, I mean, we're not here today without number one of all time, Woodley 2014, sticking our necks out there and just going for it.
for 10 grand.
10 grand. And the other key thing with that situation was everybody came flying into us. Well, what was the pump on Amazon? What did what was the sales spike? There really wasn't anyone, you know, there really wasn't anything. But that gave us the confidence to continue to this day, have the mindset of, you know, we're not necessarily looking for a sales spike here. There's two things we're looking for is introduce ourselves to someone who has never heard of us, or two, give a reminder to those that are users and or know of us. So that's what we're going for. And today too, we're a massive omni-channel company. There's no real way to say someone went straight to Amazon or saw us 2 weeks later at Target or Walmart and picked us up on the shelf. You just can't quantify that. So we don't lose sleep over that. We know it's going to the better good and the holistic,
Yeah.
movement of
I,
brand awareness.
I think it's so interesting, as a numbers guy, what I dig about what you're just, because like, everyone in your role, especially at big companies, attribution, marketing mix modeling, all that's good and has a place, right?
Yep.
But you measure that when you can't measure other things. And the things that you can measure uniquely that a big brand cannot, in my opinion, are you're doing the Warren Buffett thing. Uh, Value is when you buy a great company at a great price, right?
Yep.
So you're getting a good deal from the get go,
Yep.
right? You're getting a 6-figure deal for 5 figures, and you have a playbook that can make it 7.
Yep.
You do that all days, every day of the week, right? That's kind of one. And the second one is, as you said, is if you are delighting your supers, when you get to G cultural moments, you get to word of mouth. And
Exactly.
which is hard to quantify as it is, but
Right.
so brands, few of them get there. And if you get 10 dudes telling other people like, oh, did you check out, protect your crease, hilarious, this and that. Well, oh yeah, well, I use dude. What you do? Tell me. That's how the ball gets rolling with that. And
Totally.
you don't need to measure the outcome if you know that you got a great deal for a even greater price, and you've gotten to G word of mouth.
Yep. For sure.
Okay. So that's 1 out of the 4, Mount Rushmore.
2 has to be Isaiah Crowell, back in 2017, 18, whenever that was. Wipes his butt with a football, and low cost. I think we paid him $3,500. Sent him dude wipes. And sometimes you need to be lucky. You need to be good, but sometimes you need a little luck on your side too. So that, the day he posted is the day that the NFL fined him. That went viral for him being fined. So all media put 2 and 2 together, thinking we were paying off his fine when we weren't. It was just a social media deal. So, that thing was
incredible.
In, a gazillion articles, ESPN, Howard Stern, you name it. So that's a big dog. I would say number 3, 4, and even if you want to throw a 5 in there, it's tough. But I think you got to go Woodley being knocked out flat on his face by Jake Paul. I hated it for him as my friend. Like everyone was like, like I was watching it with a bunch of people. And they're like, pushing me and like rubbing my shoulders, trying to high five me, and I was like gutted as a human for my friend. But I knew it was great for the brand. So I always say he took a bullet for the brand that day, and we're very grateful for that, because that thing was just to the moon, and you couldn't ask for anything better. He falls flat on his face, and our logo is just right there while he's laying there. So that
Crazy.
one went to the moon. And then I would have to say I think this Browns one we did a couple weeks
Oh,
ago is got to be is up there. I mean,
can you
it's
unpack that one? As you said, that's another better to be lucky than to be whatever and stuff. But like,
yeah, no, I mean, so we had a great game plan in place. You know, we riffed internally, said, what if we throw a barge out in Lake Erie right behind Browns Stadium and we get a massive blow up Browns helmet. We cover it for 24 hours in advance, create some mystique and word of mouth about what's going on here. You know, our logos are all over it, so people know it's us. Um, and again, getting lucky. Local news crews just put out cameras out there to just keep an eye on it. Um, and then the bad luck was that it got pushed back a week. So um, we wanted players involved on this boat that was going to come up with like Deuce driving it. And they pushed it back a week for the announcement because for whatever reason. And that took players out of the mix because they were going to be in training camp. So then we had to go to plan B, and that was what kind of influencer Browns fan could we find? And we thought of Ross Smith and his granny, who are Browns fans, and all their content does really well. So threw him out there. Him and Granny went to the barge, and to his credit, it was his idea to do the, wink, wink, fall in the water.
okay, I wasn't positive. What was WWE versus UFC like or whatever,
Exactly,
but yeah.
exactly. And yeah, that ended up just going nuts. And that was one of those things where, again, it got to, the famous accounts, within sports media, and then beyond that into kind of regular everyday pop culture as well. So I think those have to be it. It's my favorite thing that we do. We try to do at least one a quarter, but
Yeah.
I think you mentioned a good word earlier in the call, patience. We don't try to force things. It's just one of those things where you just kind of know it when you see it that it has the opportunity,
Yeah.
and we pounce on those. So yeah,
Incredible.
we have the one upcoming that we're actually being proactive about.
All right. Share what you can. I'm so excited.
So yeah, you gonna air this afterwards, or what do you?
We can hold this part till whenever you want to do it and stuff.
So we're here August 13th. August 26th is National Toilet Paper Day. We have a coordinated effort out of home blitz with 700 billboards in 5 markets. 3 of those markets happen to be in the biggest dry TP competitors, players, HQ markets, and
just randomly.
What's that?
Just randomly, right?
Randomly selected. We picked out of a hat. And we are doing a smear campaign against toilet paper that day with a ton of funny, cheeky messaging on the boards that will be rotating. A lot of them will be geographically relevant to those cities, whether it's with food or sports or whatnot. May even be some injury lawyer type of jargon. Have you been harmed or injured by toilet paper? And that will go live for 24 hours only on digital boards in those cities. Our backyard of Chicago as well. Got to do it in our town, right? And we're super excited about it. And I think, giving the success or not, this could be a blueprint for other days in the future that we have our eye on. And so I'm excited about it.
So on that one of the things we talk about is, what kind of a great lightning strike is one where it causes your competitors to call emergency board meetings. My hope is that you've got the LinkedIn of all the various executives at the various companies, and that some way, somehow, by accident, people are posting those videos to those accounts, and that, because I will tell you, like, I cannot describe how many conversations I've had to have with, like, someone in your shoes at some other company trying to talk their CEO down because they're either pissed off or obsessed with the billboard that they see on their way to work, and they're convinced they need to have that with no data, no analytics or whatever. They're like, I see it and it makes me mad. And that there are, I know you're doing Bentonville, right? You're doing Northwest Arkansas and one of them and stuff, right?
Yeah, we're doing
Um,
Bentonville, just to be around, our Walmart friends.
yeah.
We're doing Fort Worth. That is, um, one of the big players, dry players, HQs, Atlanta, as well as Cincinnati. So those that are in the know on CPG obviously know who's what we're
Well,
doing.
it's an amazing fight. Let us know what we can do to help out because it's I know some of these folks, and so the Atlanta, there's some people who make cups and plates and other paper products there that we know, and so like the part that is so funny to me is that it's a they're not going to see it coming. B they're absolutely going to call emergency meetings about like what the heck are we doing about this,
Yeah.
and see you're just going to tilt so many people, and it's going to be hilarious because like it's and it I would love it if maybe your Mini Pooper can make a appearance because in Walmart in Bentonville, if I recall, all my Walmart and Tyson friends would tell me there are certain subdivisions where all the executives live.
Yeah.
And it's like a dividing line. On one side is Walmart, on the other side is all the Tyson folks. And like and there are certain so like you can have a lot of fun because there's a lot of public information. You're not going to dox anyone or anything like that, but it's not hard to get to the folks that if a little bit of making them mad could be a lot of fun. So
that's what we enjoy doing. We enjoy
well,
mixing it up and being those renegades.
well, we'll want to come back and hear how it goes. I'm sure it'll be hilarious. And anything. I mean, Ryan, just thanks. What a gift you're giving to the marketing community and the pirate ship out there. Like, I will tell you, people will listen to this and be shocked and like, I can't believe they do that for that little. Number one,
Yep.
I think once a quarter is a great rhythm, and that it reminds people like a lightning strike isn't something you do once. It's something you got to get good at.
Yep.
And you guys have gotten good at it. Like this is your superpower, as you're saying, and you invest in your superpowers. And then thirdly, um, we always say content about the content more important than the content. I would love, we should do this, maybe we'll do it quarterly. We'll do a debrief. What worked, what didn't work, and kind of break it down because like there's real value to this because at some level you are doing the Lord's work. And hey, publishers and people with properties and inventory, this is the way to do it. If your butt is against the wall,
Yep.
you call Ryan, but also you cultivate relationships in a way where you are never without an out. In brands, like, yeah, you can do we're programmed out for the next 12 to 18 months, which is the vast majority of your peers, or it's all lockstep and I can't change anything with that. And you've taken the complete opposite direction with it. And yeah, it's more work and maybe you lose some sleep and maybe it's stressful because not every deal gets done. But
Exactly. But it's worth it.
how do you make your budget and you add a zero to it? Ryan just showed you the way. So thank you for that. It's awesome, man.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate being here. Always good to jam with you, Eddie, and we'll be talking soon.
Great. All right, I'm going to pause the recording.